Shelby Lowe in the circle. Finley Cahalan digs in the first pitch. Fly ball that hits softly to Weidra at third for out number one. Shelby Lowe, what do you like about what she brings to the circle?
Well, Shelby Lowe, the fact she is coming from the left side, she definitely complements someone like Maddie Penta well. She has more confidence than ever because she is not injured anymore. I know she struggled with that, and 73% of the time she's coming at you with first pitch strikes, and I think that's why you're seeing a Finley Cahalan swinging first pitch in that at-bat, simply knowing she's going to come at me with her best pitch right out of the gate.
Lowe and Maddie Penta, just an absolutely tremendous 1-2 punch for head coach Mickey Dean. It was on her pregame. More on that as we get deeper into this contest. Jenna Johnson rips one in the left field. And tied with her first base runner, a one-out single. Johnson moves up to number 2 in the order, and that pays dividends right away.
Let us feel good if you're Jenna Johnson, hitless her last 4 games. Someone to me has moved up into that 2 spot, brings a lot of pop. I think she's the type of leader in those moments where you need to be able to step up big for the team, especially coming off of yesterday's performance. Alabama definitely had their struggles offensively, got it together in the 7th inning, but at that point it was just too late.
Kendall Clark, first pitch swinging, fly ball to right field, battling the sunshine is Tresvik. Route number 2. My first question to you was going to be, how does that carry over from the top of the 7th inning last night to today? And clearly the Crimson Tide swinging early in the count.
And this is a team that tends to take first pitch strikes a good percentage of the time. 49% of the time they're taking, 29% of the time they're swinging first pitch. So big difference between those two. But I think also you have to pick your poison. When you're going up against pitchers that you know have a higher percentage of bringing you something big in the count early, like Shelby Lowe at 73%. As a hitter, I know she's coming at me with something good, and I want to be able to pull the trigger on that. And we know someone like Pat Murphy will call those hit and runs at times, will give those takes, those hit and runs. He's big on just creating havoc, and at times breeding a little confidence into your swing when maybe you're not comfortable pulling the trigger.
6 pitches so far for Shelby Lowe. 3 have been put into play. Evelyn reached 3 times last night, including that 2-run home run in the 7th. She moves up in the order, 6 to cleanup spot. There's Patrick Murphy, 26th season in Tuscaloosa, 1,270 wins overall. Spoke to him earlier today. He was in good spirits, and he said, look, it's up to me to get that energy level where it was in the 7th inning to start this game today. And we clearly didn't have it early, and that's got to change this afternoon.
And I'm sure they had many conversations about that. They're actually staying in Montgomery, so probably a 50-minute bus ride home, and talking to Caleb Rowe prior to the game. I know they sat and watched that game on a bus ride. And I think sometimes watching yourself through that struggle, especially early on in a game, kind of opens your eyes to, wow, that's not the team that we are. Very uncharacteristic.
A lot on the line this weekend when you take a look at the updated RPI. Auburn trying to enhance its chances to avoid day 1 of the SEC tournament here next week. This one roped to third, and Weidra was there.
And a lot of work went into this last week, even though they didn't have as much time to get to work. And obviously this is a game that's starting on a Thursday because that SEC tournament is coming into town. So talking with Coach Emily Carasoni yesterday, coming off that Ole Miss series loss. Not okay, right? That's a series that they needed to go out and win, and they didn't. And I think it was important for them to just get to work, and understanding that at times there's maybe not as much confidence in some of those swings. And in order to get that, it's through repetition. So they really put the hay in the barn these last couple days, in the cages, getting the work done nonstop. And it showed yesterday right out of the gate. They were money.
Jocelyn Brisky gets the start. Talented freshman in the circle for head coach Patrick Murphy. Plenty of accolades following her from Phoenix, Arizona into Tuscaloosa. 3 balls and a strike to count to KK McCrary. We talked about the fast start last night for Auburn. I want to say the game was decided in the first inning, but a big sequence. And a leadoff walk changed the whole mojo early in that game. Brisky, 3-time 6A Arizona State Pitcher of the Year, and she's got an arsenal to work with.
Well, she is that freshman. She's electric. She's the future of this Alabama team. She has that calm presence. She's known for that drop ball down in the zone, tends to stay on that lower half, can climb the ladder a little bit. But I think the biggest piece right now when I look at Alabama's pitchers is just free passes. Unacceptable. Like, you cannot come out in the first inning and walk the leadoff hitter. Mind you, yeah, you can say she's a freshman. This is a big rivalry. The adrenaline's there. But at the end of the day, these young ladies know how to pitch. They've spotted their pitches time and time again.
Packer over to first, covering the second baseman, Evelyn, on the play. 3-4 on the sacrifice, advancing McCrary to second. 6 walks last night really crushed the Crimson Tide, and that was one of the first things Patrick Murphy talked about with us today in the dugout about 2 hours before first pitch. We cannot do that, and that has been a theme this season in games Alabama has not proved victorious. The free passes have been an issue.
Well, and across the board, I think we've seen Maddie Penta over the last couple weeks in some situations. I was here in Kentucky 2 weeks ago, and a game lost based on back-to-back walks and a team executing in that moment. And if you're a pitcher like Maddie Penta, who's been in it for as long as you have, we understand that at times the zone is smaller than maybe we want it to be, but I still think we have to find ways to throw the ball a little bit more over the plate with some good movement and trust your defense. It's almost like pitchers are scared to throw the ball over the plate because we're taught to. But when you don't have a choice, the last thing you want to do is walk someone. So I think in those situations, it's like there's more room for a hitter to make an error on a pitch that maybe is more over the heart of the plate. And I got to trust my stuff.
1-2 from Brisky, off speed, hard to the plate for the second out. First strikeout for Jocelyn Brisky.
Such a good attack moment for Brisky. She just pulls the string on this pitch. You look at the lower half of Isis Tresvik, completely fooled, no doubt about it. The location is exactly where it needs to be. First changeup thrown by Brisky.
Here's one of last night's heroes, many heroes for the Auburn Tigers. A first pitch strike to Amelia Leck. Junior from Thousand Oaks, California. Maryland transfer, led the Terps in home runs last season, doing the same thing here in the SEC this season. Big cut foul towards the Auburn dugout. It's 0-2. 16 home runs last year in College Park. 11th long ball hit last night. She was challenged, fouled off 4 straight pitches before exiting the ballpark, and this time it's back-to-back strikeouts for Jocelyn Brisky. Retiring at the end of this season, and talked with him a little bit about that this week. He said, you know, when the moment arrives, it will be different, but it's not something he's focused on right now, given the magnitude of this series, Danielle.
Well, and there's a lot coming up, too. They're going to be hosting that SEC tournament starting next Wednesday. Setup will be happening next week. I think that's an exciting thing, too, but you also need to take in moments like this. I think it's important for him to know.
You're speaking from experience there.
I wish that I would have enjoyed my senior day a little bit more, but sometimes that beast mode mentality comes out and you're thinking about, hey, I got to go take the mound. I can't be thinking about this moment. But you earned that right. I was having that conversation with Maddie Penta prior to this game. I said, are you looking forward to your senior day tomorrow? And she said, I am. And I said, can I offer you some advice? I said, you make sure you enjoy it. You deserve that. And I said, I felt on my senior day I didn't get everything out of it I should have. And she goes, my only hope is I just don't cry too much. Then I got to go out there and maybe pitch. So it has its ups and downs, but it's emotional when all your favorite people in the world are here supporting you and you're almost putting a bow on the career that you've dedicated your life to from such a young age. It's definitely emotional.
It's a lot to process all at once, and you're doing it against your biggest rival, no less.
It's a lot to take in. I said to her, I said, at least back at Washington, they would do our senior ceremony after the game. So we didn't have to deal with the emotions pre-game of what that's like.
3 balls and 2 strikes to Emma Broadfoot, Alabama native. Low comes home, swatted to deep right field. Back is Tresvik, letting that sunshine, and she will make a clean grab for out number, grabbing 700 victory earlier this year. Warren Esmond gets the start today for the Crimson Tide and takes first pitch strike. If you could go back and talk to yourself before that final start, you mentioned you wanted to take it in a little bit more and maybe be in that moment a little bit more. What exactly would you say?
I just have a feeling I would have, you're talking about senior day?
Yes.
I probably just would have appreciated that moment with my parents and my grandparents more and my teammates, and gave myself that okay to be emotional about it, and the hugs and the thank yous for, you know, the dedicated time that goes into helping you get where you want to go. I think that's the one thing that I always pass on to little kids that are in this game now. It's like, continue to make sure that you are thanking those that are helping you get to where you want to go, because you know, you'll see these little girls that take it for granted, and the parents and the car rides and the money. And so I wish I would have just said to my mom and dad and grandparents how much I appreciated them.
Back to low, and a strike to first. Second out. I think that's great advice, and you're watching now thinking about what your future could hold. That certainly is something that should resonate as an athlete.
And I think it has hit home more with me now that I have 2 daughters that are in the select sports piece. And I'm like, holy moly, you're taking up all my time now. I get what my parents had to go through back in the day, because now I'm living it. So that also opened my eyes.
Valentine pops it straight back and on top of the netting. Yeah, it's an air of gratitude, and that was one of the words that Mickey Dean used with us this week. And we asked him about his career and what it'll feel like, the final regular season series here at Jane B. Moore Field. Of course, the SEC tournament will be here, as we've talked about. More games to be played in this venue, but he said, you know, it is about celebrating others. And the more you do that, the better it feels. But it was just words of wisdom for somebody that you feel like is retiring the right way. And he said it's all about the journey. And this journey will end once again for Auburn in the postseason. 2 balls and a strike. He didn't stand in the circle for a long period of time after everything kind of winded down the pregame festivities. That one line foul. Home run distance off the bat of Valentine. Just my way of saying I don't think he wants to be in the spotlight in this moment.
He wants it to be about this team.
Yes.
And he's made that very, very apparent to us. And we are aware of it. Doesn't mean it's not our job to still ask him about it, because we do, but still getting the same reply.
2-2. 3-hopper over to third. Widra has been impressive. A 1-2-3 frame. It's a very good time as they learned a little bit about the mansion, which is 116 years old, about 19 rooms. Governor Ivey lives, I believe, on that 2nd floor. And Coach Murphy said the highlight for him personally was the fact that Kay Ivey walks in and says, "Hey, Murph," recognized that was his nickname. And Murph told us that it feels like everybody there were Alabama softball fans by the time they left.
Well, what I got out of there was 19 rooms. I don't know why they didn't stay there.
That is a great point.
It's a big spot.
Well, it's interesting. Kay Ivey is an Auburn graduate, so I don't know if that welcome would be extended necessarily. I mean, the rivalry runs deep.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. They're not staying.
Hannah Woolers leads things off. Jocelyn Brisky. I mean, I've called her the next Alabama star and perhaps superstar with what we've seen. 2-time SEC Freshman of the Week. This one knocked back into center field. Leadoff batter aboard in the form of Anna Woolers, and a good piece of hitting as Auburn is in business here in the bottom of the 2nd.
Well, and to me, since Anna Woolers has moved down in the lineup a little bit, it just looks like there's some pressure that's taken off of her. She's definitely pressed over the last couple weeks. And you could say the same thing about Nelia Peralta. I mean, dropping them down allows them to potentially get some better pitches in those at-bats and not feel this immense amount of pressure up top of having to continue to keep struggling a little bit. So I like that move by Coach Mickey Dean.
Talia Martin, the pinch runner for Woolers. Auburn will try to get something started here in the second. Both innings, Tigers have had the leadoff batter aboard. It was the walk to McCrary in the first. She was later stranded at second. Risky settles in low for ball 1 to Peralta.
Well, and to me, with just where Nelia Peralta's at, I mean, I was just going to say that stat. She had 1 hit in her last 23 ABs in the last 7 games. She's a player that this is a team that they look to, especially her at the shortstop position. And sometimes I'll hear coaches say, hey, let your defense do the talking and allow that to fuel you going into your at-bats, because you know she's a staple on the defensive end.
Could be 2 to short. Cahalan, Hevelin with a turn. And the Crimson Tide with a double play.
Well, and these are just the little things for Alabama that are going to help when you have a drop ball pitcher. She's going to produce a lot of ground balls, and it fed right into Cahalan, to Hevelin, to Broadfoot. And as a defense, when you have someone like Brisky in the circle, you always have to be on your toes because the percentage is real. She spins that changeup. She'll climb the ladder a little bit when she needs to, but 70% of the time she's spinning it with that downward spin. So you always need to be prepared and ready on defense. That was a perfect 6-4-3 there for Bama.
Lanowski, bases empty. Two-hopper back to Cahalan. And the side quickly retired the leadoff single erase on the double play with that first day, which can always be critical as you try to make a run towards a championship. Haley Dowling will lead things off. 8-9 at the top of the order. 2 up for the tie. First 2 innings, a combined 48 pitches between Lowe and Brisky. 33 of those went for strikes. A pitcher's duel underway. Big cut by Dowling comes up empty.
And the one thing that you're definitely seeing from Alabama today is they're swinging a whole lot earlier in the count, simply because that was a success that they were able to have in that 7th inning yesterday, where they almost mounted that comeback, scored 3 runs, and it almost came out of nowhere. It was like boom, boom, boom. They're back in it. And that's simply also, I asked Mickey Dean about it. She wasn't throwing as many changeups, and it kind of came out of nowhere, back-to-back hits. And he said we had a pinch hitter up in Essman, and it just made sense to not throw anything soft in that moment. And she took advantage. And I think that hitting piece too is contagious, and that's what we saw Bama do. I mean, look at that counts, 319 and 0-1 counts.
That is a robust number, right?
And it shocked them when I I said it on the coach's call, and then when we were down there earlier, I brought that to their attention, and the pitching coach, Lance McMahon, was like, huh? What? 319 and 0-1 counts? It doesn't feel like that, because that's usually when a pitcher toys with you a little bit. But he said, Coach Murphy's biggest advice, you want to swing at counts that are going to give you the upper hand. And until you get 2 strikes, you want to be smart about that plate discipline. And I think that's something that I can appreciate about Murphy too, is he'll go out of his comfort zone with athletes. And like I said, he'll call a random take. He'll call a random, hit and run. And those things too kind of put you in a position to get out of your comfort zone as a hitter.
Lowe comes home with a 1-2 offering and hits softly to left field. McCrary. The first half, Washington, where you guys made a run. What is it like this time of year at the end of the regular season, mentally, physically, and just making sure that everything's ready to go?
Well, I can tell you, I was angry we didn't have a Pac-10 tournament back in the day. It's only been, this is the 2nd year that they've had it. So that was a weekend when we honestly got to chill, or there was a game that was set up by Coach Heather Tarr to just keep us going. But you're struggling at the end of conference play. Weekend to weekend, you're constantly being beat up. You're playing the same opponent from day 1 to day 3, and adjustments are made. And the teams that make the quickest adjustments tend to come out on top. But I say this all the time, it's kind of like you're in the trenches, and the teams that are the mentally toughest are the ones that are able to endure what the conference play has to offer. But to me, it's the conference tournaments and how teams go about that piece with their pitching and being strategic about that, because you can't throw the same arm throughout a whole conference tourney. So it'll be interesting to see, and one that stands out to me in particular in a different conference, I'll be doing the Pac-12 conference with Courtney Lyle, and Nyjah Kennedy stands out. She leads the nation in ERA, .55 ERA, but she can't throw every single game because you're going to get to Selection Show Sunday and then regionals and supers. So you're going to just see how coaches find ways to attack a little bit.
Cahalan. Seeing eye single, it just fell right in front of Packer in center field. Her first hit here in game number 2, second hit for the Crimson Tide. It's interesting. Look at Shelby Lowe's number, second time through the order. That's actually been some of her best stuff that we've seen so far this year.
And I think, too, knowing that a team is going to find a way to adjust off of you. And this is that first time through, you see 237. The second time through is her best, but the third time is a little bit where it starts to get, the percentages are high. And when I have that whiff percentage there, that is the most swings and misses. Whiff is the swings and misses on pitches, and that tends to keep going down. But as is when you're facing someone for that third time through. But it's almost that pitching backwards a little bit mentality as a pitcher, knowing that hitters are coming in third time, making a big time adjustment, whether they're getting off the plate, swinging early in the count, taking your changeup, whatever it may be, adjustments are made on the offensive side.
Johnson, a base hitter, first time up. Halen at first with 2 outs. Lowe delivers the 1-1, a rise ball high.
When I've seen Shelby Lowe at her best this year, and I think about that LSU series where she was able to get 2 big wins, and they won that series, she's money on the outer half of the plate to those right-handed hitters. She spins that backdoor curveball. She's able to get it for a strike, and when she's ahead in the count, she spins it with a little bit of upspin on the outer half, like that. And I think those are the pitches that at times right-handed hitters don't get to see a lot because they're used to seeing right-handed pitchers. So that spin of a backdoor curveball coming out of the opposite hand as a hitter can be a little tricky. But nowadays we got all the technology. I mean, Alabama, Pat Murphy was telling me a couple weeks ago, they bought all these new machines that can do all the crazy things, and the athletes can go in there whenever they want and work on facing whoever they want. So the information is out there for these hitters.
I mean, the information can be almost paralyzing at times.
It is.
So much. I mean, you can go into the weeds fairly deeply, fairly quickly. Over to third, Widra is there again. And the 2 outs.
And when you limit those walks, and last weekend to Tennessee, it's the best that these pitchers really have thrown. Even though it doesn't come out on the win department, they did get 1 win, but talk with Lance McMahon, the pitching coach with Bama prior to this game. I mean, both of them were so dialed and committed to that piece. Free passes are unacceptable against those types of hitters.
Roach in foul territory. Flies out to Johnson in left field.
But when I'm breaking down someone like Brisky, I'm looking at the fact that 63.3% of the time the ball's going on the ground. And as a defender, those are the games that you love to play behind, right? Like at times we love a good strikeout pitcher, but we like to play defense. And I think that's the cool part when you have people like Kenley Cahalan and Hevelin at second base. Like, they're getting a lot of action. They get those opportunities to roll up those ground, double plays and start to get some momentum going.
Annabelle Widra, the junior, second season at Auburn after starting her career at Michigan. 2021 Alabama Gatorade Player of the Year. Also lettered in track and field at Spain Park. That's something that you mentioned yesterday that you're a big fan of, and all the athletes I've worked with over the years in every sport seems to echo that sentiment. It's okay to be hyper-focused on what you're doing, but if you're playing multiple sports, a lot of times you pick up different skills, and I don't know, maybe it keeps you fresher by the time you get to college.
I don't want to get too high on my soapbox, but
I do like your soapbox moments. Running play, foul territory, and coming up empty was Johnson at the last moment.
when I really think about like the multi-sport athlete and the importance of that piece, it allows for them to take a little mental break. See this layout by
That angle,
Johnson.
camera angle, great work.
Oh.
Great effort.
But I put a lot of blame on the travel ball coaches. I think at times it's more of a money grab than it is anything.
Right back to Brisky. She'll knock it down. Firing to first. Not in time. Well, heads up base running by Annabelle Weidra. That was a bang-bang play over there.
It comes back at you and you're like, oh boy, that just, you don't know exactly what's going on. If you move with a little bit more oomph, I think maybe you get her, but she's okay.
Second hit of the night for Auburn. Back to the top of the order, and KK McCrary with 1 out. She walked in the first inning. Quickly 0-2. I mentioned to you it was 2 weeks ago we were in Fayetteville, and Brisky was in the circle. Almost very similar to today. Get a third, fourth inning. Nobody scored yet. Alabama maybe jumped out to a 1-0 lead. And you realize you're almost halfway home and you haven't really mentioned what's happening with the freshman hurler. And she just has a way of going about her business, taking care of business, and putting zeros up on the scoreboard.
Well, and sometimes the uniqueness about being a freshman is ignorance is bliss. You don't know any different. People don't know you as well. And that's why they say the sophomore slump's a real thing, because the data and information on you as a pitcher is out there. But as a freshman, I'll say you can have the data on Brisky all day and see and percentages of where she's throwing stuff, but until you step in the box as a hitter and feel what that downward spin feels like coming off of your bat, it's different. And I think those are the little things at times where the advantage goes to the freshmen, just simply because they have not been seen.
Desert Vista High School there in Phoenix, Arizona, where Jocelyn Brisky is from. She is the school's all-time leader in wins, strikeouts, ERA, shutouts, no-hitters, and perfect games. Her ERA there in high school was a minuscule 0.54. 30 shutouts, 8 no-hitters, 2 perfect games. I mean, that is dominance defined. And McCrary lines out to Heflin at second.
Like I said to you earlier, I mean, I'm so used to Alabama having, for the most part, kind of a one-arm show that rides them to the homeland and where they want to go. And you think of Jackie Trina and what she was able to do and help them win a national championship. You think of Alexis Osorio and redefined the rise ball pitcher.
Packer to Heflin off of 2 hops. And the 1-out single back to the circle. 26, Pat Murphy. And Coach, good start in the circle with Jocelyn Brisky. What are you seeing from her so far?
Great. I just wanted to say congrats to Mickey Dean on a hell of a career. I've known him for years. We played several times when he was at James Madison, and of course the last 7 years at Auburn. So congrats to Mickey, his family. He's a great dude, and we're going to miss him in softball. But Brisky, you know, she's given us like 3 consecutive really, really good starts. And if she can keep the game close, I have a good feeling about it. No more leadoff walks. We got to get rid of the walks, period. Then we have to do something offensively to help her out. She's got a lot of stuff on her shoulder right now, so we need to do offense a lot better to help her out.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. Obviously, a difference in Maddie Penta to Shelby Lowe coming from the left side, but you guys are swinging a little earlier in the count, like the 7th inning yesterday. Was there a certain plan of attack going up against Lowe?
Yeah, she's the exact opposite of Maddie. I mean, lefty, righty, spin, and a really good pitcher, but she doesn't have as many walks. She's only got 14 walks on the year. So to me, it was like we need to swing early because she's not going to walk very many people. Stay in the zone still because she's still got a good rise ball. I think we swung it a couple too many high, but if we can see it down and make her throw a good pitch, we're going to be okay.
Coach, we appreciate it. You're the best. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
I think the biggest moment of the day for him prior to first pitch was, again, being referenced as Murph by the governor, Kay Ivey. held that position, great state of Alabama, since 2017. They made that tour to the governor's mansion. Scoreless game, top of the 4th inning. 3, 4, and 5 due up. Clark, Hevelin, and Broadfoot. And Kendall Clark takes a strike on the outside corner. Danielle Laurie, Roy Philpott, so glad you could join us. It was interesting last night. We were actually simulcast on ESPN and ESPN2. Every single pitch, there was a postponement of a baseball game that was planned on ESPN down in Gainesville between the Gators and Vols. And I was talking with Coach Murphy pregame. I was like, it's probably the most watched softball game of the regular season, given the fact we were on both channels majority of the night.
Going to turn people into softball fans that maybe weren't. Putting them all on the networks, you know, big Iron Bowl series.
It was eye high for Clark. Took a cut, fouled it straight back.
But there is a different mentality stepping into the box as a hitter, knowing that there's a pitcher out there that limits their walks. I mean, 70 innings pitched, and she's only walked 14 on the year. You know she's coming at you with something, doesn't want to throw it too far out of the zone. And to me, like I said earlier, that separator for Shelby Lowe, and you know when she's feeling it, it's when she owns that outer half to the righties, and she has that backdoor curveball. And the one thing I saw last weekend against Ole Miss was just that pitch was elevated up in the zone, and Ole Miss was able to find a way to adjust. It's easier to adjust to a pitch that's a little up. It's hard to adjust to a pitch that's down in the zone. So that really was the biggest difference last weekend compared to how her start has been here.
Now, during our interview with Pat Murphy, Shelby Lowe was saying hello to her dog Junebug up in the stands right below us, which you said hello yesterday.
Get out. I don't know if I take the puppy or the baby that I saw earlier on the TV. Both the cuteness overload. Oh.
Fun moment here at Auburn today. Mentioned yesterday they honored the 7 graduates, including Shelby Lowe. She's got the personal fan on her to make sure that Junebug stays ultra cool today. Humidity's a little high. It does feel like summertime here. We need one of those here in the booth. That wouldn't be too shabby.
This Canadian tuxedo I have going on is quite hot up here.
You chose the outfit.
I know. I should have paid more attention or bought myself one of those cool fans, but.
It's 83 degrees now. When we got here to the ballpark a few hours ago, it was probably closer to 86, 87. We'll undoubtedly get a little toastier as we get closer to the summertime. Packer tracks down the second out off the bat of Callie Hevelin. 2 quick outs for Emma Broadfoot.
When it was actually a couple weeks ago for Shelby Lowe facing LSU, where she finally got off the pitch count. She had gone and surpassed her 75 pitches. Mickey Dean had walked out. She said, no, I want to stay in this ball game. And since she has got back from injury, she's always been on that pitch count of 75 pitches. Once she gets there, she's done.
This one hammered down the left field line. Hooking foul.
And so that was kind of a highlight moment, I think, not only for Mickey Dean, knowing that she has that confidence to continue to keep going, because not a lot of people know what it's like coming back from injury, and when your body and your arm may not sync up to what it used to be prior to that injury, right? And so since that moment, she's no longer had the pitch count. We know every game for Auburn is another game going where those seniors, you're going to be saying goodbye to them, so just let them go out there, let it rip.
Seven seasons on the Plains for Mickey Dean. 0-2 the count to Broadfoot. Senior from Danville, Alabama. Meanwhile, Lowe, the senior from Carrollton, Alabama. You know that in a series like this, 2 Alabama natives, it means a little bit more. Broadfoot actually addressed the team this week in talking about the rivalry. Talk about bragging rights, and especially for seniors, memories that last a lifetime. Cut on and miss. Lowe records the strikeouts. Dance lesson there moments ago. And Coach, it's great to be talking to you, and a great start once again for Shelby Lowe.
Yeah, the lesson is don't dance in public. Shelby's doing a good job of mixing speeds and movement. You know, we just got to be careful with their hitters. You can tell they're loading up, and so yeah, we just want to try and keep them off balance as much as possible.
Well, and I have to ask, obviously a difference with Brisky being primarily down in the zone, but adjustments that you'd like to see your hitters try to make this second time.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We got to get behind the ball. You know, right now we're getting outside of the ball, and we need to get more behind the ball so that you always want to try and lift that drop ball so that you're hitting line drives, and we're kind of getting around it right now.
Coach, we look forward to more dance lessons after this game too tonight. Thank you.
All right, War Eagle.
Mickey Dean, year number 7, retiring at the end of this season. Honored pregame along with Auburn AD John Cohen and Auburn superstar Maddie Penta. It's Isis Tresvik that will lead things off here in the bottom of the 4th. Plenty of speed, outstanding athleticism for Tresvik. Struck out her first time up back in the 1st. Started her career at North Carolina A&T. Came into the weekend as the leading hitter. Ball to strike the count. I've heard you sing quite a bit this weekend. I don't know about the dance moves of one Danielle Laurie.
No.
They don't exist.
They do not exist.
That's surprising for a National Player of the Year 2 times and national champion, all the great stuff that you did in Seattle at UW, and the coordination doesn't resonate into dancing on the dance floor?
I took one Zumba class with a friend. Never again. That to me was the most moving and grooving that you'll probably see. College, yeah, we can't really speak on that. I've been out for too long. Everyone has a little fun when they're dancing in college, but not as good as Mickey Dean down the line.
No.
Is that an opening for me to ask if you're pretty good at dancing?
I mean, I'm not pretty good at dancing. I feel like I can get out there and mix it up and give you the appearance for probably, I'd say 20 seconds or so, and then it all kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
Hit sharply into right field off the glove of Heveland. Leadoff batter aboard for the Tigers.
I think that was the 7th pitch of an at-bat and an 0-2 count. That was supposed to be a drop ball on the outer half. We actually asked Coach Patrick Murphy and the pitching coach Lance McMahon about that earlier, and it was interesting talking to Lance McMahon about Caleb Beaver. He said, hey, the humidity felt a little hotter, and I think that may have at times affected the movement of her pitches just based on how they were moving.
Right back to Brisky. It smashed her just below her nose. She somehow got the ball to first to record the out. And that is the 2nd time. And the toughness of the freshman Jocelyn Brisky on display tonight. How about completing the play to record the out? And that is a very big out number 1 here in the bottom of the 4th.
So good, so tough in that moment to be able to think next play. And as athletes, that's what you're taught in the moment, right? Like, okay, if I get the ball, where is it going? Where's the runner? It's still a very scary situation. Glad she's okay.
Willer's a base hit. First plate appearance in the 2nd inning. 2:08 with runners in scoring position this season. And a chance to strike first here in the bottom of the 4th. Junior started her career at DePaul. Fouls it off, 2-1.
But to just reference back to what Coach Mickey Dean was saying in the sense of like getting behind the ball a little bit, those are back-to-back really good swings by Isis Tresvik to hit it to the right side, and then you see Amelia Leck go down and get that ball. adjustments being made after the conversation that Coach Dean had with his team prior to these at-bats.
That was a rocket. And a called strike 3. Wooler strikes out. Hey, college baseball's Aggies have been incredible this year offensively, trying to steal third. Unsuccessfully is Tresvik. How about the comeback by Bama? Tournament. If you're looking for storylines, Danielle, we have plenty to get into tonight, as we have all weekend. Esmond will lead things off for the tie. 6, 7, and 8. Esmond, Valentine, and Dowling. Shelby Lowe remains in the circle, where she has been outstanding so far. This is your kind of game, like pitcher's duel.
This is what I thought yesterday was going to be. I really thought it was going to be Beaver and Maddie Penta, both throwing high velocity, similar pitchers, but how they go about beating hitters. A little bit more of a changeup for obviously Maddie Penta, but the one thing that I just love about Shelby Lowe is she's just such a different demeanor of Maddie Penta. Penta is just...
Well, speaking of dancing, Penta was doing a lot of that yesterday.
She's just has this different type of like ice in her veins mentality, and Shelby Lowe is just very calm, cool, collected. Energy doesn't change. Ice in her veins in a different... From the plate, she's beating you with the outer half. You know that that's where she's going pretty much every single time she's starting you in an 0-0 count. So get on top of the plate, see the ball a little later in the zone, try to, you know, pump it to right field, knock it through the 3-4 hole, excuse me, and don't try to do too much.
Valentine's 0 for 1. 2 balls and no strikes. What does it tell you that Lowe and her 3 strikeouts have all occurred within the last 4 batters? So we're talking about the second time through the order, approaching the 3rd time through the order, and she still is on top of her game.
Well, and she hasn't really had to change up her game plan much. We've seen her maybe throw a little bit more off speeds than the first time through, but I think that I got to throw up more at Bama, like make her work a little bit more than they have. As a pitcher, you want to try to reinvent yourself, and that first time, 237 average, but it goes down the second, 187. But to me, the most concerning is the 3rd time through, right? You look at that 316 average, less swings and misses on the whiff percentage at 13%. And so she's aware of that, but I'm aware of that as Bama. So instead of waiting the 3rd time through, why are we not trying to make those bigger in-game adjustments that 2nd time through? We just have not seen them do that.
Just the second 3-ball count in this game for Lowe. And the 3-1 stays high. 1-out walk issue to Riley Valentine. And the first walk of the game tossed by Lowe. So let's see what that does for Alabama. Game where we have not seen a lot of base runners. This all of a sudden becomes a big moment. Dukeshire pinch hitting for Dowling. And a first pitch, fly ball, shallow right. Tresvik is there. Throw down to first. They doubled her off. Valentine.
But that was not heads up.
Scoreless game. Back on the plains. Brisky remains in the circle. Peralta will lead things off. 6, 7, and 8. 2 up first for the Tigers. And Danielle, how many times have we seen a play like that made defensively translate into runs almost instantaneously, just creating momentum in this pitcher's duel that we've seen?
Well, and that's, I think, where we're at. It's going to come down to what team is going to get the most momentum and adjust to these pitchers right out of the gate.
Peralta squares the bunt and dribbles it foul.
But even going back to Auburn's adjustments last inning against Brisky and hearing Coach McNean just talk about how he's needing them to get behind the ball a little bit more. I know Carasoni is big on that piece, lift to get those line drives, and they were making those adjustments. So for them looking to carry that over.
And we're talking about game 2 of this series. Auburn won game 1 last night 4-3. An Auburn win tonight means the Tigers would take the series in back-to-back seasons for winning in Tuscaloosa last year. That would also be 4 straight wins against the Tide going back to last year. We're getting way ahead of ourselves, so put a pause on that for a moment. Line off of 2 hops to Cahalan. Oh, and like a pro, just stabbed it and delivered a strike.
Well, from one shortstop to another, you know, Nelia Peralta's like, damn you. That was going to be right back up the middle. That was a good piece off the bat. I thought for sure, no doubt about it, but it was just that extra little look she gave to Cahalan.
I mean, it's one thing with the range, then the stab. The throw was immaculate. Broadfoot barely had to move an inch. Cahalan again. 2 away. Well, don't now. On the ESPN app from anywhere. What is the scene going to sound like here? You got all these teams with all that firepower coming to the Plains, and so much at stake. Rose Roach last night recorded her first hit since late March. Moving down the order, the pressure was relieved, and she played very well. Jocelyn Brisky has been pitching at a high level in the circle so far. And Roach behind 1 and 2.
And I think I can appreciate from Brisky just the bounce back on some things. Hey, okay, she'll give up a base hit or a couple comebackers to her in the circle, but that hasn't taken her out of the game. And I think that, to me, goes to show mentally in a good place.
Strikeout, that speed. Fastest player on the team for head coach Pat Murphy. Outside for ball 1. Well, look how close the corner infielders are by the time the pitch gets to home plate.
Well, and based on what she was able to do yesterday when she dropped that bunt right up the first baseline, really exposed. But we asked Coach Murphy why she's moved down to that 9 spot, simply struggles against those left-handed pitchers. .083 against left-handed pitching. That's not going to cut it, especially with Shelby Lowe and the fact that she can change speed so well and isn't your typical 70-mile-an-hour thrower. So you really got to be able to work those ABs. Moved her back down to the 9 spot from the 2-hole.
Came back from an early season injury. It's the end of February, did White. 3-time All-State performer in Phoenix City, just right down the road here in Alabama. One thing Coach Murphy talked about with us with Kristen's performance this year and her potential. There's that one off of 1 hop, goes back to Lowe. Towards her left, firing a strike after the brilliant play just to get to that ball that was hit sharply off of a hop.
And at times that's kind of been the one thing that Cahalan has struggled with a little bit. I mean, she has a .929 fielding percentage, has had those moments of struggle. I mean, the shortstop position is one of the hardest on the field. You're getting a lot of action. You're involved in a lot of different plays. It comes with the territory of being that leader.
Cahalan flies out to McCrary and left. 7 combined base runners in this game here in the top of the 6th inning. Lowe in complete control, as is Jocelyn Brisky. 2 quick outs for Jenna Johnson. Johnson moved up a spot in the batting order tonight. Page High School, Franklin, Tennessee. 2nd team All-SEC a year ago. 264 this campaign.
When I think of this Bama lineup, to me, this is someone who I don't want to be. Just with her experience, being that 5th year, that 3rd time through the lineup, we know at times Shelby Lowe can find ways to throw pitches maybe a little bit more on the plate just based on the law of averages and what we've seen. So to me, this is a hitter in Johnson that I don't want her to beat me. I'm going to attack some of these other hitters. I'm going to be smart, but you always have that rule of thumb as a pitcher. There's certain hitters in the lineup where absolutely not. And you will not have my number today.
Crowds here this weekend have been sensational. Atmosphere electric, as you would expect when Alabama and Auburn get together. Fouled out a play. It's the first time I've had a chance to call this rivalry in softball. It is not disappointed. Even Alabama fans that made the trip down from Tuscaloosa yesterday got to the 7th inning. They started making some noise, and that was noticed by that Bama dugout. Murph was talking about it. His team earlier today. Full count. And what's the mentality here? You mentioned you don't want to let Johnson beat you. Are you giving her anything close to the zone?
Well, I'm going to go with the bread and butter. I'm going to go with that backdoor curveball on the outer half, and I'm going to keep it knees down. If I elevate that pitch, she has enough pop on the outer half to elevate and celebrate with an opposite field home run. So I just want to be smart with the location.
Off of one hop, Peralta off the back foot, in time! Oh, the stretch by Milanowski.
The call in the field has changed. The runner is safe. This is Alabama's first challenge.
4 for 4, Danielle.
I mean, I feel a little lucky. I get to see the shots that everyone's seeing on TV, but the bang bang play just goes to show at times to the naked eye how close it really is. Love that we have that replay review. It's so quick, goes to Birmingham. Quick turnaround, less than 20 seconds.
Here's Kendall Clark. Johnson at first. Inning continues. And the drama starting to build here in game 2 on the Plains. Clark's 0 for 2. Struck out her last time up in the 4th. For Alabama, very comfortable in these kinds of games. Tide won a game 1-0 last weekend against Tennessee. The lone run scored by the Tide in that series, and they made it count. 0-2. Side retired. Low battles.
Lance McMahon, pitching coach at Alabama, back-to-back days, just hammering that home to his pitchers and the importance of that.
I did want to ask you, by the way, when you posed the rhetorical question. You asked me.
Oh, wow, I set myself up.
Brisky has been phenomenal again. Weidra leading things off for the Tigers. Her hit coming in the 3rd. 2 home runs on the season for Annabelle Weidra. Michigan transfer originally from Hoover, Alabama.
And that last hit that she had in the 3rd inning was her staying back on that changeup, hitting it right back to Brisky on that pitch. And that's when you kind of know as a pitcher and you're just aware of those situations, right? Like, hey, her body on that pitch was not fooled at all. She got a good piece of it. Does not mean that we don't throw that pitch or are scared to throw it, but we're just more situationally aware of it at certain counts and where we want to locate it.
Hit sharply, Cahalan, rock solid. 1 away.
Number 16,
You feel like nothing gets past number 31 for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, she's been really good as of late.
They went through their defensive issues. Go back a couple of weeks ago and you look at some of the errors that occurred, and that was something that Coach Murphy had worked diligently on in practice, and trying to create high pressure moments, quick decision making, efficient decision making in a brief time period. That has paid dividends. You can tell the wheels are turning, trying to find a way to manufacture a run. Get to a winner-take-all game 3 tomorrow. Chop foul, it's 1-2.
Well, and just kind of looking at KK McCurry over her last 6 games, I mean, coming into this weekend, or today's game, excuse me, she's had 11 walks in her last 6 games, and her percentage of first pitch takes are a lot higher than everyone else, simply because she is getting walked as much. I mean, 67% of the time she's taking that first pitch strike, and she took it in this at bat. But to me, she's able to work these really long, lengthy at-bats, and that's what you want out of your leadoff. Someone that's scrappy, they're willing to see a lot of pitches.
Into left field, that'll get down for a base hit. McCreary a big turn. It was bobbled for a moment by Johnson in left, and with one away, Auburn go-ahead run standing at first base.
And this is why she's just so good in that leadoff spot. Brisky gets ahead of her, but she works it 2-2, and she just finds a little bit of green.
And a pinch runner be called upon by Mickey Dean. Abby Smith.
I mean, she could be one of my favorite players.
It's a big bat.
That's a big bat, and she's a big personality, and trying to fire up the squad.
I mean, if anything, it would serve as a distraction for anybody in the circle looking in that direction. What is that?
Man, imagine you take that in the on-deck circle, just start taking some dry hacks.
I mean, are there rules suggesting you can't do that? I'm sure foreign objects not allowed on the playing surface. A big cut by Packer.
Well, I will say I was watching that game earlier that Maddie Shipp and Eric Freed had, Tennessee, Kentucky, and seeing Karen Weekly grab the on-deck circle and throw it because one of her players got hit in the kerfuffle that came with that. I'd assume you probably can't bring a plastic bat out there just based on she did get in trouble for it. But Karen Weekly, I can appreciate her for it. She's got a big personality, and she's going to do as she pleases, and that's why I think she's a wonderful woman, originally a lawyer, and made her way into the coaching, and one of the best.
Eagle on the perch. 0-2 to Packer. Popped up. 2 steps onto the grass, and an easy play for Hevelin at second. For out number 2.
Number 3,
well, and those are just the situations where you have to be better, right? You have that hit by KK McCurry, working it. You have 1 down, Packer in that 2-hole. The last thing you want to do is pop up in the infield. You want to find a way to use the dirt, especially with a drop ball pitcher. You know she's producing a ton of ground balls, 63% to be exact. That's why her defense is playing so well behind her. They know they're getting a lot of balls, but no better right now than the hot bat of Isis Tresvik.
Ripped a single to right field her last plate appearance, and was later tagged out at third, trying to steal third. Only the 3rd time this season that's happened. She's 18 of 21 in the stolen base department. And that has come to life in the back half of this season. Little number into center field, off the glove of Cahalan. Advancing to third on the play, and smartly done and executed by Abby Smith. Auburn with something brewing here in the bottom of the 6th. Runners at the corners.
Good job by Tresvik. This is a pretty hard pitch in on the hand. So for her to be able to turn on it and get enough heat up the middle, she's able to barrel this up. Kenley Cahalan, I thought, had a chance. McCreary moves into scoring. Great pitching always beats great hitting. If you're able to execute and throw good spots.
Squares to bunt, and taking second without a throw will be Tresvik. 1-0 the count to Amelia Leck. And with first base open, they're going to elect to put her on to load the bases. Anna Woolers scheduled to hit next. So interesting with Tresvik stealing second. That takes the bat out of the hands of Leck in this moment. And the Tigers have him loaded. 2 away. Biggest moment so far in game 2 coming up right now. Kayla Beaver has been getting warmed up in the Alabama bullpen. Woolers is 1 for 2. Beaver delivers a first pitch. The outside corner for a called strike. Nothing in 2.
That's what I'm talking about. To be able to come in right out of the gate, back-to-back strikes, especially with the pressure of this moment. That's big for her to be able to come in and do that right now.
Abby Smith standing on third base, representing the go-ahead run. 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Beaver. Danielle Laurie, Roy Philpott. An efficient start once again for Shelby Lowe. Evelyn leads things off. And this moment yesterday, top of the 7th inning, hit her 6th home run of the year. It sliced a 4-run lead in half. And we have seen yesterday's starter for the Crimson Tide, Kayla Beaver, on in relief already. Maddie Penta has started to slowly warm things up. The Auburn bullpen. Series on the line here after last night's 4-3 win by the Tigers.
And how clutch that was for Evelyn yesterday to definitely get some momentum going for Bama. But the last time she had hit a home run was in that Kentucky series, which was March 29th, so close to a month ago. So those are the types of moments where it just gives you that that breath, especially with her having 6 home runs on the season. It's those types of players at times that you need to try to get hot at the right time, get on a roll a little bit heading into SEC tournament.
Tied with just 3 hits so far. Leadoff batter is aboard. Callie Hevelin draws a walk. We mentioned the 7th inning last night. 4-0 to start. Hevelin, after a walk, made it 4-2. Some more drama in center field. Kayla Packer unable to catch up to that fly ball. That made it 4-3. And then Maddie Penta ended up slamming the door shut late. The Crimson Tide trying to carry that momentum into today. It has not happened yet. Second walk issued by Lowe, the senior, getting the start in the circle. Part of that class that really helped rebuild and rebrand this Auburn program under Mickey Dean. Broadfoot steps out, 1-0. Broadfoot 0 for 2, squares to bunt, high and tight, it's 2-0.
The importance of this situation here, to be able to sacrifice yourself on a smart pitch. That pitch, try to get her team back in the dugout.
And she inherits the 2-0 count after Lowe exited, now 3-0. Broadfoot, the Alabama native, awaiting. Heveland at first. And now a full count. But Broadfoot had to reach for that pitch.
It's a tough pitch. Try to lay that sacrifice bunt. A little bit of downward spin on the outer half. Really got to keep the barrel squared up. Chance of popping it up, but big moment here. Broadfoot 3-2.
Payoff from Penta, stays high and out of the zone. And Broadfoot with a shout out back towards the Alabama dugout. Runners at first and second. Still no one out. And here's Pruitt. She will hit for Lauren Esmond. And Patrick Murphy will utilize a pinch runner here. Kinley Pace now at first. Heveland at second. And Danielle, this is the first time in this game Alabama will have a bat, an AB rather, the runner in scoring position.
And with none outs, this is where I'm smart about trying to lay that bunt down too, and putting 2 runners in scoring position. A 2-run lead is better than a 1-run lead going into the bottom of the 7th inning.
Pruitt squares the bunt, sends it straight down and foul. Offense has been at a premium in these first 2 games. Total of just 7 runs have been scored. All of those coming last night in game 1. Pruitt retreats, and that fouled accidentally off the end of the bat.
Well, and if I'm Maddie Penta and I just snipe 2 quick strikes, like this is where I need to be able to step up. I mean, opportunities here for Bama to be able to lay down the bunt. You saw Broadfoot who worked the walk. That's great. But when I look at Esmond, those are 2 pitches you want nothing to do with when you're trying to lay down the bunt.
Pruitt takes out of the zone. 1-2.
And that's a pitch that I think needs to be called. With whatever pitcher that's out there, I think that umpires have actually stopped calling the top of the zone, which they've said that they are going to call. It's a big pitch to leave.
Chris Neighbors calling balls and strikes. This one sent foul. Pruitt too quick on the turn.
Well, when I think back to last night, she's someone that stepped up in that big situation and was able to get on top of the pitch high in the zone. Whether or not that was a high fastball or a rise ball from Penta, she was not fooled on that pitch, and that's the one that to bobble in the outfield. So I'm staying primarily down. I'm going down and away. I'm forcing an out at third base on the ground.
Pruitt, a big cut, and down she goes. First strikeout for Maddie Penta out of the Auburn bullpen.
Well, and if you're going to climb the ladder on a pitch that got you and burnt you on that pitch yesterday, this is the exact spot that you want to do it on. No doubt about it. A pitch you are not going to be able to touch, and that's what Maddie Penta does. Clutch strikeout.
Valentine takes outside for ball 1. Riley drew a walk her last plate appearance. That came in the 5th. Evelyn at second base. Pace at first as a pinch runner for the tie. 1-1. Well, it feels like postseason softball tonight. The mayhem to come. The SEC tournament here next week. 1-2. Boy, Penta ultra calm in the circle. Her leadership, her experience, her presence, her skill set on display.
lights.
Full count.
Oof.
Tough take.
Money take.
Dowling would be due up next. Into left field for a base hit. And Pat Murphy will keep the lead runner Hevelin at third, but Bama has the bases loaded with just one out. When McCrary came up with it quickly in left field, that ball was hit sharply. And all of that played a major factor in the decision to keep Hevelin from making the turn. Bailey Dowling. Two-time Illinois Gatorade Player of the Year. What a moment. Kind of whips it past her. It's 0-1.
Well, and that's the type of swing on that velocity where you say by you, right? Like that gives you that extra little bit of giddy up in the circle when she's taking that big hack. I'm going right back with the pitch, heavy.
Oh, 0-2.
It's almost giving me deja vu vibes from yesterday. Exact same inning. Momentum going here for Bama, Penta.
Penta went the distance in Game 1 victory. To survive a dicey 7th inning to do it, but she did it. 2 away. Maddie Penta.
It's a good hack on that pitch. Swinging early in the count, knowing Maddie Penta is going to come at you. Just something good to get ahead and then mess with you a little bit. 64% of the time she's throwing that first pitch strike.
Lines out to third. Widra ready and waiting. And the half of those decided by 2 runs or less. It feels like tonight falls into that category once again. Peralta leads things off against Kayla Beaver and takes outside.
Well, and I like that last shot of seeing Maddie Penta in the bullpen. And she had to warm up quick to go into that type of a pressure situation. Yeah, I'm assuming she's definitely warm now, but to go out there and continue to get what you need out of your warm-up, those are things pitchers rely on in the moment.
Is it just me, or does Kayla Beaver look like an entirely different pitcher in the circle tonight?
Well, she does, and she has nothing to lose at this point. I think there's a lot going into a game like yesterday. There's this different type of pressure with this rivalry. It's the first time that she gets to experience an Iron Bowl, obviously played in the A-Sun. So when your back's up against the wall, it just brings out this different type of competitor. There's a lot of expectations on her yesterday, as there should be. Like, she has been that ace of Alabama, and that's what comes with the territory of being that type of player. And you have to learn to be able to deal with what those moments feel like. And yesterday, she could not do that. And looks completely different today, for sure.
This crowd has been in it, trying to will their team to a Game 2 win and a series victory for the 2nd straight year. And that one sent foul by about 2 inches down the first baseline. Peralta stays alive. 2-2 the count.
Well, the one thing that you at least know going up against Kayla Beaver and the difference between Brisky is you don't have to worry about the changeup. She's someone that tends to be almost a little bit Montana Fouts-like. Fouts didn't really have a changeup. She didn't throw it. You just have to be on time for the hard. Pick a plane that you want to hit. You know she climbs the ladder with that rise ball, but to me it's when she kind of throws that screwball and that rise ball combination on the inner half to the righties. that's tough because now that opens up the outside part of the plate, which it will right now. That last pitch, foul up and in on the hands, opens up for her to snap that curveball. So if I'm Peralta, I'm looking for something potentially breaking away from me, try to hit it to the right side.
Peralta works the count full. Mickey Dean, his final season as the head coach at Auburn, stepping down at the end of this year into retirement. And Peralta high in the air. And fair territory, tracked down by Clark. One away.
Number 23, Milanowski.
Max Milanowski 0 for 2, a couple of ground outs to short. Game 3 tomorrow back here on SEC Network, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. And the question remains, will it be tied at 1 win apiece, or will Bama be looking to avoid the sweep? We'll get you down to Baton Rouge for college baseball. Number 1 Texas A&M and the LSU Tigers. The series that should be down in the box as soon as we're done here in Auburn. Tom Hart, Kyle Peterson on the call. Rip past the third baseman, Dowling into left field. A big turn for Milanowski, and then now she will retreat to first and be tagged out there.
The field is upheld. The runner is out.
Yeah, I
this is
think that's
Auburn's
the right
first
call.
challenge.
It's worth the challenge because we've seen a lot of plays at times be overturned, but she was out by so far that.
Well, it was an interesting sequence because Hevelin had her back towards second base as she caught the throw from left field and then appeared to be stunned when she turned around and Milanowski wasn't sliding in there. After all of that, 2 away, what could have been a runner at second with just 1 out. The winning run in scoring position. And here's Mariah Penta. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of action.
Well, the 7th inning last night was no walk in the park. I mean, with every pitch, it seemed like momentum switched hands. And Mariah Penta fouls out the broad-footed first. Extra innings here on the Plains. The NCAA tournament. Top 16 teams will do that. And Kinley Cahalan takes high for ball 1.
Well, when you're thinking about Bama right now, it's 4th time through the lineup. This is the time. Kinley Cahalan leading them off. Just want to get something going.
1 for 3 tonight. That pitch in the dirt. Mickey Dean and Pat Murphy, good friends. Murph told us that he was bringing Coach Dean a gift. Sharply, right center field. Cahalan's aboard. She's going to dig for 2. Here comes the throw, and it's late. A leadoff double for the tie. 8th double of the season for the shortstop, Kinley Cahalan.
Well, and this is what it looks like to be committed to getting to second base, right? She knew from the jump when she rounds first, it is go. She turns it up an extra notch, and that, obviously there's a hesitation. It's closer, but she turned it up. Leadoff double for Cahalan.
And the first extra base hit in this game for either team. Jenna Johnson. Moved up a spot in the order. A moment like this, fouls that into the netting. Big weekend for softball around the country. You have games 2 and 3 of Bedlam between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. ESPN, ESPN2 starting tomorrow and then Sunday. Featured series here on SEC Network later this weekend, Mississippi State and Georgia. That'll be from Starkville. Here in Auburn tonight. Beautiful weather, graduation weekend. Alabama, Auburn, need we say more? Rip to third, Widra. Another gem in the hot corner.
This is a good piece. We know Alabama, a 318 average at 0-1 counts. And you see Johnson absolutely turning on that 0-1 pitch. That's a good piece.
Cahalan remains at second. And here's Kendall Clark. Clark 0 for 3, transfer from Des Moines Area Community College. Chad Murphy told us she brings everybody together. She could do so in a very big way with a knock here. Bama just 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Part of that was that 7th inning. Tide left them loaded. Halen, a good athlete. Clark, a big cut. 1-1.
Well, on a dirty pitch, 1-0, going with the change piece down. That gives me a little bit hit and run vibes.
Pat Murphy talking with Clark, pointing towards Cahalan. Some encouragement as well from Heveland. Crimson Tide with just 5 hits tonight. Last one, that extra base contact off the bat from Cahalan. 2-1.
When I went and talked to Maddie Penta prior to this game, and I said, hey, when you're dealing with at times a tough strike zone, like, how do you deal with it? She said, hey, sometimes it's that extra motivation in the moment to prove someone wrong. But she said, you know what's really bad when Nelia Peralta comes up to me. And she also said, when Mickey Dean calls timeout, he'll just purposely go out there and wait as long as he can until the home plate umpire goes, and then he'll give him his 2 cents, and then he makes his way back to the dugout.
Clark out in front of that last pitch from Penta. 3-2. Payoff pitch on the way, and a fly ball hits softly to left field. McCrary records the second out. And that is Abby Smith now playing in left field. Smith came in as a pinch runner. So after the leadoff double, it comes down to Callie Heveland. Great ABs last night. Bit of a different story so far this evening, although she did draw a walk in that 7th inning.
Not want to get burned on again, especially at a 2-0 count. I like that Anna Woolers calls time to go out and kind of get back on the same page as Penta, give her a second to take a breath. But you have to pick your poison. You're like, okay, if I want to pitch you on the outer half with the fastball, that gives you the opportunity to punch something through the right side, which then puts the speedy Cahalan in scoring. Obviously, she's in scoring position. She's going to get there, so they are going to choose to walk her, and I think this is smart. Puts a force.
Evelyn trots down to first, and here's Broadfoot.
Up to bat, number 12.
Broadfoot 0 for 2. Walked in the 7th. Go ahead run in scoring position. Nothing and 1 the count. Boy, every pitch, every inning in these first 2 games. Highly contested. Broadfoot awaits.
To me, it kind of feels like these are the moments where the clutch hitting has to come into play. She's going to be able to step up. Very often, bad runners in scoring position.
Ripped foul.
Well, and Chris Neighbors, the home plate umpire, seemed to know it from the jump, but also Ellen Sleep there at third. Gets a good look at it. I want her to climb the ladder. I want her to go with the rise ball. We saw her throw that elite rise ball to Pruitt.
Pat Murphy wants a quick word, and then he heard whatever he needed to hear from Alex Lee.
It's icing the kicker a little bit.
One-two from Penta. Just grabbing a piece was Broadfoot.
Well, the same game plan seems to be the case from yesterday to today for these Bama right-handed hitters. They are off the plate a significant amount. Wanting to make sure has all the substitutions.
Still 1-2.
Playing a little mind games with it.
Now remember, Maddie Penta sitting on 899 strikeouts.
Yep.
After the 9 Ks yesterday. A complete game victory. The 2-2 on the way. Broadfoot stays alive, serves it into the netting.
Well, it's almost like these swings and misses, just like baiting her to throw her changeup, which to me, her changeup's so good that even if you have a sniff of an idea that it's coming, that she can still beat you on it if you're smart with the location of that pitch.
Fly ball, left field, playable for Smith. Auburn escape will lead it off. An outstanding performance tonight at third base for Annabelle Wedra. Beaver has done her part, coming out of the bullpen so far in the circle for the Crimson Tide.
She sure has, yeah. She looks like a different pitcher, no doubt about it, than yesterday. Yesterday, I just felt like she just almost looked uncomfortable, pitching on her heels a little bit, has a lot more to offer tonight, has settled in. And I think being able to get ahead of these hitters and spotting good locations gives you confidence in the moment. It's when you overthink it. And she got burnt on that Amelia Leck, right? It was 7-pitch at bat, 0-2. got to spread the zone, and she throws her a cookie right down the plate and gets burnt on it, and then that's what you wear into the next at-bat, and it starts to carry over, and it was contagious for her.
Well, that AB to me is the at-bat of the entire series so far. You feel like everything sort of changed in Auburn's favor then. Alabama would love to steal that momentum back tonight here in extra innings.
Well, and that's what one of the main things Coach Murphy said. He said, I mean, she just didn't give us a start to motivate us or pump us up. And pitchers set the tone right from the jump. How they go out there, how they demand that circle, demand the strike zone. They bring this different type of edginess that I think rubs off on your teammates and gives them extra confidence too. Playing defense behind you.
Widra, 1 for 2. Make it 1 for 3. Strikeout for Bieber.
This is how you spot up someone that's taken you into some different counts, right? Like, Widra worked a little bit from the 9 spot, but look at the location of this pitch by Kayla Bieber. This is a really elite spot, down and in, tough movement.
Back to the top of the Auburn lineup. KK McCrary re-enters. And Danielle, you start to wonder, scoreless game in the bottom of the 8th inning, 2 aces in the circle for both sides. Does it come down to just somebody barreling one up to end it? Runs obviously very difficult to come by so far.
Well, and KK McCrary in a position definitely to go yard. I mean, I love her in the leadoff spot. Patient, 8 home runs on the year, has some good pop off the bat.
As a pitcher, are you thinking about that as well in the circle and understanding the game can end, so you are pitching to not allow a home run?
You do to a degree, because you know in the bottom half, one solo shot game's over. But I think when you start to overthink that piece, that's when you do miss balls over the plate. So as soon as any hint of doubt starts to creep into your mind of the sense of, oh man, if I give her a pitch she can hit, oh, she can take me yard, we lose this game, it needs to be reverted back to, okay, what's the pitch that's being called? What do I need to do to execute this spot in this moment? If all I can worry about is the location, that's all I can control. I cannot control any outside factor, strike zone, what my teammates do, any of the above.
3-1 to McCrary.
But you can also get into those situations for pitchers too when they're facing some hitters in the lineup that bring out a different type of adrenaline. You can try to overthrow it. And when you overthrow it at times, you can get burnt too. So it's that fine line between letting that adrenaline piece in and using it to fuel you, but not overthrowing.
Cahalan gobbles it up for out number 2. It does not sound like an easy, fine line to toe, especially given the magnitude of these moments in a scoreless game in the bottom of the 8th.
I mean, you work your whole life for these moments as pitchers. You're in those moments because you've earned that right, and you know the work that has gone in and the hay that's been put in the barn. And if there is that doubt, then that's doubt that has to go into the mental piggy bank. Mentally, why are we allowing ourselves to think that way in this moment? But that's the separated from the good from the great. You see the greats that are able to execute in big time moments, and they probably, there's no way in the back of their brain they are doubting themselves in moments like that.
0-1 to Michaela Packer. Chattanooga, Tennessee, now a senior. Won state titles in softball and in track. Broke records in the 100 meters and 200 meters in high school. Caps are on. Energy is high.
A couple weeks ago when I was here for that Kentucky series, I mean, Michaela Packer had her moments of struggle, and I think the one thing Mickey Dean talked about was, hey, we got to swing a little earlier in the count, and she unleashed on a pitch from Stephanie Schoonover of Kentucky on that inner half and took her to left field. And that excitement on her face.
Translates in the circle with Kayla Beaver.
Pitchers and how they really uniquely work well off of each other. Shelby Lowe from the left side. Absolute spinner, doesn't blow you away with the velocity, but that's what makes her so good. She's so good at locating pitches, command, spin, and then you bring in the hammer. Maddie Penta throws that ball hard, has that good changeup. And on the flip side, you have a Kayla Beaver who looks night and day from her performance yesterday, coming off of a Brisky, who's primarily down in the zone. Now you have Kayla Beaver, who has a little bit more up spin. Tough to adjust.
Beaver doing her best to make sure that arm stays as loose as possible. The other question I would ask for you, Danielle, how does this impact what we could see tomorrow? That's an early start at 11 a.m. local, too.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know that Shelby Lowe tends to not go back-to-back starts, but it's Maddie Penta Senior Day. So I think she's going to go no matter what. And I also think Kayla Beaver may potentially go no matter what, but I am not anyone that can look into the future, so I don't know how long this game's going to go, but you're right, it does depend on the amount of pitches thrown and not as much recovery time with such a short turnaround. 11 o'clock game, Central tomorrow morning.
That's breakfast in softball. Pruitt stays alive, still ball and 2 strikes. Penta now approaching 50 pitches tonight.
Yeah, I was a big cold tub girl. I liked that because I just felt like not only mentally was I being tested in the moment, but the true recovery of your body when you're getting into something that cold. And I know people have mixed reviews about icing your arm, but I loved it. I love being able to get in there, feel my body. It gives you just that little extra going into day 2.
Pruitt maybe caught a seam of that ball as it whisked straight past the bat. Good battle here between Penta and Pruitt.
But even thinking about Maddie Penta last Friday, where they went 9 innings, she threw over 150 pitches to Ole Miss, 18 strikeouts. I mean, she can go.
Does not appear to be phased by this game or what could be coming tomorrow. Nor does that man. What a battle. 9th pitch. The AB coming up. And the payoff. Served up the middle. Stabbed off the bounce by Peralta. Leadoff batter is aboard. And a nice piece of hitting that time by Larissa Pruitt.
Really good battle by Pruitt, and she gets a pitch that Penta had been trying to locate 3 pitches prior. Amelia Peralta lays it all out there, but obviously there was so much speed up the line. Love the effort by Peralta.
Alabama in the 8th inning. Riley Valentine re-entered in the last inning as the catcher. We saw Marley Giles for 2 frames. It's a good sign if you're a fan of the Crimson Tide. Time is called here. It's 4-3 last night. Game wasn't settled until late. It's even later tonight. Valentine into the screen.
I want to say that's probably the 4th sack bunt that I've seen that's popped up to the back of the netting here. And when it comes down to this type of a situation where we have to find a way to sacrifice ourselves, I mean, Bama has to be able to lay down that bunt, especially knowing someone like Maddie Penta will climb the ladder on you. It doesn't make it easy for sure, but your job is to sacrifice yourself. Get your barrel out there, track the ball, move the runner.
Rooted first, Valentine. One and two the count. Malinowski was 3/4 of the way down the first baseline. Was down on the dirt for a moment as the strike was called. Valentine swinging, outer half, knee high, and a called strike 3. The 900th of Maddie Penta's career.
Well, and that's probably one of the toughest pitches that you'll see if you're Riley Valentine. But what about the 2 strikes prior, right? Like, we got to find a way to advance that runner. Those are the types of at-bats you need in a situation here in the 9th to advance a runner. And this is what it comes down to, not only now, but when you get into conference tournament next weekend and then that selection show Sunday and we start to figure out where everyone's going. It's going to come down to the timely hitting and being able to sacrifice yourself, move that runner who's stepping up big in the moment.
Last 20 games between these two teams, split right down the middle, 10 wins apiece. 4-3 last night. Scoreless so far tonight in extra innings. The main Alabama scoring threat. Go back to the 7th. They left them loaded. Beaver came in. 3 straight strikes. Leadoff double by Cahalan the next frame. Pop straight up in the air. Foul territory. Weidra finally tracks it down for the second out. Point is, the scoring opportunities have been few and far between, obviously, for both sides. A game that has gone this long without a single run. We have seen some outstanding pitching. You don't want to downplay that. Lauren Johnson. Well, it's almost like Penta flips a switch. Any potential trouble is quickly averted.
She's someone that I've seen enjoy the pressure-filled moments, and I'm sure she's not willing that to happen by any means, but someone that definitely rises to the occasion when that pressure sets in.
Runner goes. Cue ball hit over to first. Alabama with runners at the corners. Johnson is aboard. She couldn't have hand placed that ball any better. And the inning stays alive for the Crimson Tide.
Well, and the issue here is Malinowski. She goes way too far off the base. This is Rose Roach's ball all day because she hesitates, gets off the base, tries to go for this. There's no way Rose Roach is going to be able to get all the way over to first on that.
Go-ahead run standing at third base once again for the Tide. And it's back to the top of the order. Cahalan with 2 hits on the night. Crimson Tide now with 7 hits this evening. Started every game at shortstop this season. Veteran presence to only be a sophomore. Facing a 1-1 count. Fly ball, deep right field. Back is Tresvik at the track and makes the catch. Alabama's Beaver remains in the circle for the tie. And here we go.
Well, and if anyone knows these types of games well, it is Isis Tresvik. Last weekend, Friday night game, 9 innings. She had 2 solo shots. One that tied it and one that won that game.
Now that Ole Miss series, 0-2. Mickey Dean, 7th and final season, leading this Auburn program. Dance moves were on display early tonight. Tresvik pops it up. Foul territory, and that will stay playable for Broadfoot at first.
Up to bat, number 34, Amelia Leck.
Now the sunglasses are off now for Beaver as the sun is set. Lights are on here at Jane B. Moore Field. And Amelia Leck, 0 for 2 tonight. Home run last night. Pops it up to shallow right center. And the catch is not made. Hevlin retreating. Fell backwards. And with 1 out, the winning run standing at first base in Amelia Leck.
Well, this is going to end up being a base hit in the books because no one touched it. But I want to know where Pruitt is. Going backwards on that ball, you see Pruitt completely just back out of the way. That's the outfield's ball. I think someone has to make a call in that situation. At the end of the day, communication needs to be better, especially in the 9th inning. I think that that's a ball that needs to be outfield all day and not Evelyn making that heavy back step to go that direction.
Riley McNeamer, the pinch runner now at first base.
I also think that's a pitch that Amelia Leck could have taken over the right field wall. She just missed it.
Here's Woolers. Anna with a hit, her first AB in the second, a couple of strikeouts since.
Well, and it was interesting when I had a chance to talk with Amelia Leck the other day, just simply about that Ole Miss series and that extra inning game and how different it is because they're under this $32 million renovation. They had no fans. And then you look at the action tonight and this crowd and how a fan base like this can just fire you up in these types of moments. Very different extra inning games from that Ole Miss to this. With this crowd, they are doing everything in their power to try to get this Auburn offense going.
Two and two. Peralta in the on-deck circle. Niemer at first base, representing the winning run. Wooler strikes out.
Up to bat, number 13,
This is a really good pitch by Kayla Beaver. Goes down in the zone. Something that tends to be a little bit more upspin. Just goes in that situation. Downstairs, really pretty pitch.
You know, the look in the circle tells you all you need to know. Kayla Beaver is locked in. You've said it a couple of times. She looks like a different pitcher tonight. It is not difficult to understand how and why when you watch her for just a couple of offerings. An Auburn fan with a nice souvenir. Popped up right side of the infield, Broadfoot underneath. 9 complete. We head to the Danielle Laurie, Roy Philpott. Jenna Johnson will lead things off for the Crimson Tide here in the 10th. 2, 3, and 4 up first for Bama.
Well, it really starts to get you thinking as the pitch count continues to creep up. We had seen Annabelle Weidra warming up in that bullpen. Just knowing with tomorrow, too, it is her senior day. It would be a little strange if she didn't get the start. But the recovery time is low with how quick of a turnaround that game is. And the longer that this goes on, 67 pitches thrown, you can mentally get through a day, but your body is not as sharp. It doesn't mean that her velo will be significantly lower or anything like that. I mean, but I look at last week for the Ole Miss series and that 4-hour game the Friday night, they pitched someone completely different. Lowe or Penta did not get to start Saturday, and then they took it for granted a little bit Sunday. It was a team that you could tell was tired. They didn't look like themselves. So kind of a similar situation here. Do you let her gut this out? If she gets a leadoff walk, are you smart to pull the plug? We'll see.
A dilemma for sure. Johnson with 2 hits this evening. Senior from Franklin, Tennessee. 6 home runs her campaign. And a leadoff walk issued to number 88. Well, that makes the 3rd straight inning, 4th straight inning in which Alabama has had the leadoff batter aboard, including that extra base hit by Cahalan. Leadoff double in the 8th. And here's Kendall Clark. We have seen the attempted sacrifice bunt by my count at least 4, perhaps 5 times tonight. I'm not sure that we've seen one be executed successfully in a situation like this. And maybe it was one that got down.
Well,
2-0.
It's about owning your job and understanding as the innings continue to keep going, who's going to be able to step up in that type of a situation to, like Maddie Penta, 72 pitches thrown.
Complete game yesterday in the 4-3 win.
Yeah.
Senior day tomorrow.
Big weekend for her.
Enormous. Meeting concludes, the 2-0 on the way. And this one's bunted right back towards the circle. Weidra up with it quickly. And the sacrifice puts an Alabama runner in scoring position. Jenna Johnson raced down to second.
Well, the little things need to be celebrated. And we got the Sour Patch Kids out in the dugout, and we got all the things going for Alabama here, but you have to celebrate that sack bunt. Now you put Hevelin in a position. Step up.
First sacrifice executed by Alabama tonight. Auburn has 1, and here's Hevelin. 5-4 if you are scoring at home, and we trust that you still are. Callie Hevelin. Chance to do some damage. When you wonder how much longer Mickey Dean is going to leave Maddie Penta in the circle here.
Of action. 10 1/3 innings pitched so far in the last 24 hours. Senior day tomorrow.
Curious if you remember your career at Washington in the course of a weekend, maybe the Nice number of pitches that you ended up throwing through the course of, let's say, a 3-game series. She's at 186 right now after last night's complete game.
Probably close to 250, I would say. I mean, you are seeing a lot higher pitch counts by pitchers these days because hitters are finding ways to be petty at the plate and really making these pitchers work. So it's not that it's unheard of, and she has a partner in crime in Shelby Lowe, and the performance that she was able to have today to really set the tone for Auburn. But I have to look at the offensive piece, right? Like, Auburn's had opportunities and they have not been able to find a way, and that's the same trend that's going on here for Alabama.
Hevelin draws the 1-out walk. Johnson remains at second. In the Broadfoot with a chance.
And the one thing that I've noticed here in the 10th, maybe a little bit more than the last couple innings, is just pitches that just are not even close, right? Like, to start her at that 1-0 with a pitch that's probably close to 3 or 4 feet outside, like, that's just not going to cut it. Now you're playing catch up and you're falling behind constantly.
Slapped over to short, the force out at second, the turn to first, and it's in time for the double play. They have stayed the course now in the bottom of the 10th. 7, 8, and 9. Milanowski, Roach, and Widra scheduled to hit.
Well, and even going back to that energy that you just saw from Mickey Dean, he's trying to fire up the squad. Like, those are the little plays that you have to take into account when you're going to the bottom half of the inning, but you also have to have Maddie Penta's back. She's out there laying it all out on the line, you know, at times falling behind in counts and still battling. And when you're able to make a defensive gem like that with Peralta to Roach to Milanowski, celebrate it and find a way to make something happen.
One and two. Shelby Lowe, you wonder, conversation with her head coach. She'd be trying to talk her way back into the circle if need be, along with the Auburn trainer there. What a game. Milanowski serves one, center field, and it gets down. Well, everybody in the stadium held up the stop sign as she made the turn at first. Johnson unable to corral it in a dead sprint.
You know what's interesting? That's a deja vu of yesterday with Michaela Packer in center laying out for a ball and just almost getting handcuffed a little bit in the outfield. I thought she was going to be able to get this. It's almost like she jumped too soon for it and laid out. And I love the holdup by Milanowski. She got burned her last up, hesitating.
Pinch runner checks in for Auburn. Skylar Elkins. Winning run at first here in the bottom of the 10th inning. And Rose Roach got a hit tonight, base hit yesterday. Another moment magnified this evening. Nothing in one.
And her being at the bottom of the lineup and moving from that leadoff spot down to the 8, like, this is your time to shine, right? We got a runner on first base. Like, I am that triple threat type of a player. I have to be able to lay the ball down in a bunt situation. I know I've said the same thing for Bama, but to me, we've just had too many opportunities that we've let slip between our fingertips. Have to be better.
Roach gets it down, Broadfoot. Over to Hevelin covering. And Auburn with a winning run in scoring position with just one out here in the 10th.
That's what it's all about right there. Rose Roach finding a way to get it done. having a pinch hitter here.
And we posed the question in several frames tonight, who wants to be the hero? Nothing has come easy in this series for either side. Haley Clemens gets her first AB of the series. Freshman from Alabaster. Thompson High School. She'll take a first pitch strike.
And I can appreciate the here by Kayla Beaver right out of the gate. Someone coming fresh off the bench, has not seen you at all. Bottom of the 10th inning, pressure's there. Need to find a way to get ahead. Good pitch.
0-2.
Now you find yourself a little bit of a jam at the bottom half here. Taking 2 quick pitches. I can see seeing one and what that velocity feels like, but then to take back-to-back pitches and finding yourself in a hole right out of the gate.
Clemens slaps it foul. Tigers got off to a great start. Runners in scoring position in this series. Alabama's pitching in the circle has since answered. Here in the bottom of the 10th, we remain scoreless. Clemens was the most valuable player in the 7A state championship game during her high school career. She has played in some big moments. A good take there, evens the count, but just a freshman in this rivalry. And Beaver with a strikeout.
Well, one pitch sets up another. That take on the outside part of the plate at 70 miles an hour sets up this pitch down and in, just straight cheddar by you. Like I said, at times, Kayla Beaver will try to take a little something off it, but not someone that tends to ever rely on an off-speed pitch. So the last thing you want to do as a hitter is just not be on time with the velo. Yes, there's a difference between her and Brisky, but we're way too far in this game right now for that to be the difference between being that late.
KK McCrary 1 for 3. Elkins remains at second. Beaver now with 5 strikeouts. And a fly ball is sent foul. McCrary turned on that one a shade too soon. McCrary, the senior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. To the backstop, and that will put Elkins at third. And Auburn inching ever closer. Does it again. And something to say. Shelby Lowe, all 4 have been effective. And lights out tonight. Marissa Pruitt will lead things off for the Crimson Tide. Penta remains in the circle. We'll see how long Mickey Dean elects to keep her in this game with senior day to come tomorrow morning.
we saw them having a conversation with Shelby Lowe and the athletic trainer at the end of the dugout, and thinking maybe is she someone that might be able to come back into this game. We also saw Annabelle Wedra getting warm. All hands on deck potentially.
Pruitt 1 for 2. Swats this one over to second, an awkward hop. Not in time. Roach got there. And hustling was Larissa Pruitt. Boy, that ball took an awkward hop late.
Well, and look at what Rose Roach is playing. She's all the way back at the green. If she's in a little bit respecting the speed of Pruitt, that's a play that's going to be made based on where she's standing, but she's too far back. And because of that, that is an even closer play. Big leadoff for Pruitt.
5th straight inning, Bama's got the leadoff batter aboard. And the bunt was fouled right off the lower body in the box. When the wheels were turning quickly in that sequence.
And we saw Valentine earlier trying to lay down that bunt and having a little bit of struggle with it. I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but it comes down to being able to do these types of things in these situations. Who are getting on base have to find a way to advance her.
I believe that is valid commentary. Here in the top of the 11th. Ball and a strike to count to Valentine. She exited as Marley Giles caught a couple of frames and then re-entered. One for 3 this evening. And that one was fouled off the catcher. Woolers take a moment to collect herself.
That's the one thing we really haven't talked about. You think 11 innings for these catchers, up and down, up and down, up and down, the wear and tear on the body. And I know at times this has been an Auburn team that has switched out catchers. We saw a little bit of a switch out for Bama, Valentine and Giles, but it has been Anna Woolers this whole game, and the body, and those are the things you think about the short turnaround tomorrow morning and how that can be tough.
Pitch number 87 for Maddie Penta on the outside corner and a called strike 3. Valentine is retired. Strikeout number 901.
Roy, this is the exact same thing that happened the last at-bat. She had opportunities to lay down that bunt, and Maddie Penta exploits her with that changeup on the outside half. Back-to-back backwards Ks. Have to be better in that situation.
Bailey Dowling 0 for 3. Hit and run. She serves it into the net. Reminder, game 3 tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Central Time. The turnaround will be quick. These two clubs will be back here in this ballpark in less than 12 hours. This announcing crew will as well. That went into left field. Dowling with a base hit. Pruitt now at second. Oh, the 5th straight inning that Alabama has had 2 runners aboard. Trying to change momentum, the mojo, and trying to find a way to manufacture a run.
I'm doing a good job of staying on time with this changeup. Not fooled. We know that's a pitch Maddie Penta throws a lot of. She's able to pull it through that 5-6 hole. Continue some more momentum here for Bama. Lauren Johnson is going to stay in for Kristen White in the 9 spot.
Well, when you consider the pitching talent we've seen tonight in the circle and some of the names that will be etched in the lore of both of these programs. This has become a classic. A different sort of way maybe than what we anticipated to start. Off the foot. Both runners advance. Pruitt at third. Dowling at second. And the Auburn infield looking towards the Tigers dugout. And a wild pitch advances both runners.
Yeah, it's almost like Anna Woolers was crossed up the way she tried to glove that up. Felt like she thought maybe a changeup was coming.
Lauren Johnson, just a freshman, Centennial High School. SEC Freshman of the Week back in February. Fly ball, center field. Is it deep enough? Charging, Packer. And the answer is no. Pruitt quickly back to third. 2 away.
I just think there's no way you can go home on that. It's too shallow of a ball. I know there's a lot going on, obstruction. There's so many things that can be called, but I think that's the right move to hold her.
Back to the top of the order, Kinley Cahalan. Wasn't cheated on that swing. Only extra base hit of the night is off of her bat. Cahalan through the right side. Pruitt scores. Right behind her is Dowling, and it's 2-0 Bama.
Well, another reason you do not send Pruitt in that situation is because you do not want the last out at home with Kinley Cahalan and her at-bats that she's been able to have today and take the bat out of her hand. And this is exactly why she's able to step up on time with the changeup, pulls it to the right side of the field, and gets the job done. And that's really what Bama has been waiting for, someone to be able to be the big person in the moment, to see a pitch, make something happen.
Maddie Penta, tremendous effort tonight. Her evening comes to a...
Just based on Kinley Cahalan's at-bats that she's been able to have, I know that the pitch thrown by Maddie Penta is that off-speed, but kind of right in her wheelhouse on that inner half part of the plate. And Maddie Penta probably just going to go take a second. You know, sometimes the frustrations, it wears on you. You do everything in your power as a pitcher to put your best foot forward, and sometimes it's just not enough, and it hurts. And I wish there was an easy solution to be able to help a pitcher through those types of moments, but you work your absolute tail off to be able to deal with both outcomes of the winning and the losing piece of the game. And sometimes it's the hardest piece, and she has such a short turnaround with tomorrow's game coming in at 11 Central Time.
1-2. If you're wondering, Auburn with the heart of the order coming up in the bottom half of the 11th. 2, 3, and 4. Crimson Tide now with 10 hits. Out hitting their rivals 10-7. Jenna Johnson, one hop to second. Roach up to the task. Ryder trying to tie the series to force the rubber match tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. Packer takes low for ball one from Kayla Beaver. Well, credit Kayla Beaver. Her energy in the circle really gave this Alabama team, it felt like, new life multiple times here in these extra frames, Danielle.
And she just seems completely different, a different type of confidence behind her pitches. Yesterday, she just almost looked indecisive when she was throwing them. And like I mentioned, she's going into a rivalry that you're expected to be that ace to go out there and set the tone, and she wasn't able to do that. And I'm not sure if she overthought it or the pressure felt like a lot, but conversations that were had by Lance McMahon heading into this opportunity has made her look like a completely different pitcher, and we'll be interested to see tomorrow if she's someone that gets the ball, because we've seen her get the game 1, game 3 starts.
62 pitches into this relief appearance. 119 pitches total through 2 games. 3-1 the count. Here's where you have to be careful. Isis Tresvik sitting in that on-deck circle. We know about her heroics. We mentioned against Ole Miss. Full count. And the payoff. Called strike 3. Seven strikeouts for Bieber.
Well, it's just not great ABs, right? That's a pitch that we've seen Caleb Beaver get up in the zone, and those right-handed hitters have to be able to pull the trigger on that type of pitch, especially when you have 2 strikes on you.
Well, if you're a fan of Auburn, you would love to have seen Tresvik up with the runner on. Two hits tonight, 4 official ABs, 317 on the year. Nearly 3.5 hours in. A mile in the air. Bama and out away after Clark tracked it down.
It doesn't matter who wins or loses this game, in the sense where when you lose it, you feel it to your core, because it is such a grind of a game, right? The time logged, the rivalry that plays into this. Gosh, losing an 11-inning game hurts, especially when you think about the amount of pitches thrown. So whoever wins this game, it's a plus-plus, but when you lose it, it cuts deep.
McNeamer facing Beaver. Popped it up. This could do it. Broadfoot has it. Bama finds a way. Danielle Laurie, Roy Philpott. Jenna Johnson will lead things off for the Crimson Tide here in the 10th. 2, 3, and 4 up first for Bama.
Well, it really starts to get you thinking as the pitch count continues to creep up. We had seen Annabelle Weidra warming up in that bullpen. Just knowing with tomorrow, too, it is her senior day. It would be a little strange if she didn't get the start. But the recovery time is low with how quick of a turnaround that game is. And the longer that this goes on, 67 pitches thrown, you can mentally get through a day, but your body is not as sharp. It doesn't mean that her velo will be significantly lower or anything like that. I mean, but I look at last week for the Ole Miss series and that 4-hour game the Friday night, they pitched someone completely different. Lowe or Penta did not get to start Saturday, and then they took it for granted a little bit Sunday. It was a team that you could tell was tired. They didn't look like themselves. So kind of a similar situation here. Do you let her gut this out? If she gets a leadoff walk, are you smart to pull the plug? We'll see.
A dilemma for sure. Johnson with 2 hits this evening. Senior from Franklin, Tennessee. 6 home runs her campaign. And a leadoff walk issued to number 88. And that makes the 3rd straight inning, 4th straight inning in which Alabama has had the leadoff batter aboard, including that extra base hit by Cahalan. Leadoff double in the 8th. And here's Kendall Clark. And yeah, we have seen the attempted sacrifice bunt, by my count, at least 4, perhaps 5 times tonight. I'm not sure that we've seen one be executed successfully in a situation like this. And maybe it was one that got down.
Well,
2-0.
It's about owning your job and understanding as the innings continue to keep going, who's going to be able to step up in that type of a situation to